Hi, Alex Recaps here. Today I am going to explain a movie called The Mountain Between Us. Alex Martin is a journalist who came to Idaho to write a news story about skinheads in Onassis. Having done the work, woman went to the airport and was a little late, so she had to make her way through the check-in counter a little late. She asked to be checked out as soon as possible, but this was not necessary because the flight from Idaho to Denver was cancelled due to bad weather. Realizing that the wedding was coming up, she called her fiancé Mark and said that she would be a little late but would resolve this issue in the near future and return to New York on time. Alex's wedding is due tomorrow, so she decides to get to Denver at any cost, from where she can safely fly to New York. Here she meets the Dr. Ben Bays, who came to Idaho for a medical conference. The man also does not intend to wait for the next flight, as a 10-year-old child is waiting for him in Baltimore, to whom he must perform a complex operation. Hearing that Ben was in a similar predicament, Alex offered him a solution to their problem, hiring a private jet whose pilot would ignore the storm warning. It turned out to be Walter, who participated in the war and saw a lot on his way. Only bullets can stop the pilot, so he sees no problems and is ready to fly, considering that it was still light and did not pose a danger. Walter did not transfer his rub to the flight control center but took care of the dog, taking him with himself. On the way to Denver, Ben and Alex got to know each other better. The pilot turned out to be a pleasant conversationalist, but at some point he had a seizure. Doctor tried to help him somehow, but it was too late. Having lost control over the aircraft, they began his sharp descent and hooked on one of the snow-covered mountains. The plane is torn in half and Sue made an emergency landing. Sometime later, Ben woke up to find that his ribs were broken. Alex is unconscious and has a leg injury, so the man splinted her and immobilized the limb. Dogberry remained unharmed, but pilot did not survive the crash. The woman's phone is broken and Ben's smartphone don't have any connection, so help or rescue cannot be called. Noticing fuel dripping from the roof, men found a dog bowl and collected some diesel fuel to set a fire and keep warm. Wake him up early in the morning. The man got out of the plane to call for help, but this does not make sense since they are stuck in the middle of snow-capped mountains. Keeping the fire going and treating Alex's leg, Ben buried the pilot nearby. Toward evening, the woman woke up, but she was disoriented and could not understand where she was. Ben helps her come to her senses and calm down a little, and also talks about what happened. Walter did not agree on the route of movement but got in touch, so the doctor suggests not to go anywhere and wait for help inside the plane. They have enough water and a small supply of food, so there is no need to go somewhere and risk their lives. Early in the morning, Ben notices a plane flying over them and tries to get their attention. Alex used a flare gun and a charge to it so that the man fires a shot. She desperately screams and calls for help, but no one sees her. Of the flare, time passes, but there is still no help. Alex cannot go to the toilet without the help of a man, but he understands that there is no point in sitting back. 3 days have passed and food supplies are almost exhausted, so you need to explore the area. The woman is ready to go hiking, but Ben stops her and tells her that he will go to the mountain range nearby. Alex gives him a camera to see further and promises to understand him if a man does not return. The doctor is not going to leave her, as he could have done it even during the accident, and promises to return. While Ben is heading to the top of the mountain range, Alex goes through his belongings and finds a voice recorder, so she learns that his wife recently left him and now the man is lonely. Meanwhile, Ben climbs to the top and realizes that they have big problems since the road to the village is not visible and there are only mountains around. On the way back, he almost falls into the abyss, but miraculously survives. Meanwhile, the crash plane is found by a cougar who has smelled the smell of fresh meat. Barry reacts aggressively to the feral cat and lunges at her. The cougar injures the dog and enters the plane to eat. For Alex, trying to somehow protect herself, the woman loads his signal flare and shoots at the animal, scaring off the cougar. Hearing the gunshot, Ben hurries back and sees blood trails, after which he learns that Barry is injured and needs help. The doctor sews up the wounds of the dog, causing the woman sympathy and respect. The next morning, Ben goes for a walk and notices a cougar near the camp that has died from his wounds. In the evening, he arranges a real feast, frying the meat of a wild animal on a fire. The doctor suggests that they continue to wait for help, as they have food for at least another 10 days. Alex thinks they need to go down to pick up a signal or find someone who can help them. As a result of the discussion, Alex and Ben have an argument, after which the man goes to bed, not wanting to continue the conversation. A week has passed since the crash and Alex realizes that there is no point in waiting any longer. Early in the morning, she packs her gear and, despite Ben's protests, heads out into the valley with Barry. A little later, the man wakes up and sees that he is alone. After finding a farewell note, is in no hurry to leave the camp and writes SOS in the snow, but quickly realizes that this does not make sense. Ben soon goes after Alex and finds the plane's tail. All this time he hoped that he was transmitting a distress signal, but he realized that he was mistaken and the wires were broken. A couple of hours later, Ben catches up with Alex and supports her plan to find help after being on the road for several Dazed, the couple slowly descends to the level of the trees and decides to find shelter. Having found a cave, they make a fire and stay in it, taking care of each other at night. Alex cannot sleep because she's cold and Ben lies down next to her to warn the woman. We understand that they cannot be alone and they need to stick together because this is the only way they have a chance to survive. In the morning, Alex looks into the camera lens and notices a strange reflection of light, realizing that food is enough only for 3 days. The couple continues their way, realizing that this is their last hope. After being on the road almost all day, they come to a cliff and find themselves at a dead end. Ben suggests looking for another way. Alex doubts of alas, but still supports his decision, since other ways to go down are deadly. As the night begins, the couple again set up camp and build a fire to keep warm. There is still no connection, and you need to save your phone's charge, but Alex asks to turn on the music as she wants to relax and calm down. In the morning, Ben and Alex continue to descend. At some point, the man asks to take his farewell photo, but the journalist refuses the request. Not so long ago, she got into trouble, and getting close to one of the girls took her photos shortly before her death. She does not want to experience these painful sensations again, so Alex does not want to take a farewell photo, and suggests that she continue on to the place of the sun reflection that she saw the day before. Having been stopped, the couple admits that they have already become accustomed to the cold and they enjoy being here to some extent. Bad notices that the dog is missing and goes looking for him. Soon he sees a hunting lodge in front of him and returns to Alex to tell about it. At that very moment, the woman here is cracking ice and realizes that she is standing on a frozen lake. Before she could even take a step, she falls under the water, but Ben saves her and takes her to the house. After quickly more the woman up, the doctor dehydrated her and injected her with a snakebite antidote in the hope that it would resuscitate her. A couple of days later, Alex wakes up and learns that there is a snowstorm outside the window, so they are forced to stay here and gain strength. The one has lost hope that they can escape, but Ben promises to find a way and do everything to save her life. In the morning, a man goes to the forest to cut down trees and notices a hare. The dog tries to catch dinner, but he is faster and manages to hide. Meanwhile, Alex takes the doctor's recorder again and listens to his wife's recording. Returning, Ben sees a recorder in the hands of a woman, and this outrages him, realizing that Alex just wants to get to know him better. The man allows him to listen, recording till the end. It turned out that his wife left him 3 years ago, but he still wears a wedding ring. Ben leaves to calm down a little and come to terms with the fact that he is alone. A little later, he returns and says that he will leave for firewood, but Alex convinces him to stay. She feels guilty and asks for forgiveness, after which she kisses the man, feeling that their affection is mutual. Ben kisses Alex back, and the couple make love, and the morning man decides to tell about the secrets of his past. In fact, his wife did not leave him. They lived a happy life together, but she fell ill soon. She was diagnosed with a brain tumor and she became a patient of Ben, but he failed to save her. Alex understands that the road must be somewhere nearby, but to continue the journey together is difficult and long. She asked Ben to leave her in the house alone and go for help because he has more strength and he can find people. After listening, the man leaves, but quickly realizes that he cannot go without Alex and is not ready to leave her here. He returns to the hunting lodge and insists that the woman come with him. The journalist has a hard time walking due to a leg injury and constantly delays Alex, but the couple does not give up, continuing on their way. After making another stop, the couple embrace and fall asleep in the middle of the forest. Barry tries to wake the man up and pushes him into the snow to wake him up. Just a minute ago, Ben and Alex almost gave up, but now the doctor sees a sawmill in the distance and wakes the woman up to continue on his way. At some point, they lose the dog again and Ben goes in search of him but falls into a hunting trap. The doctor realizes that he can no longer walk and asks Alex to bring help getting the last of her strength. The woman notices a truck of firewood and asks the driver to stop, powerlessly following his path. Sometime later, Ben wakes up in the hospital. He immediately goes in search of Alex and finds her in one of the neighboring rooms. The couple are glad that they managed to survive and Ben wants to kiss the woman when he suddenly hears that there is someone else in the ward. It turned out that her fiancé Mark had already come to Alex. Ben realizes that he is the third wheel and after thanking woman for saving him leaves. Alex, just like him, is afraid to admit her feelings and does not say anything. Ben returns home with tears in his eyes and tries to start his old life with his dog Barry. Soon the man finally recovers and goes to work. Evenings he spends in the company of a four-legged friend but still feels lonely. Alex also returns to her old life, meets friends and spends time in the pool. Realizing that she misses Ben, she calls him, but the man ignores the calls of the woman with whom he fell in love. Mark, as well as other acquaintances of Alex, constantly remind her that she disappeared in the mountains for a long time. They want to see photos from this amazing adventure, but the woman does not want to share personal experiences and emotions that she had to experience. Alex can't sleep at night and decides to throw away all the things related to the accident in the mountains. The only thing she does not dare to throw away is the film from the camera, since these photos are the only memory of the adventures with Ben and Barry. After printing out some pictures, Alex sends them to Ben, and soon he calls her back, offering to meet in a cafe the next day. The couple meets and notices that In ordinary life, they are completely different people. Ben talks about his life with a dog and confesses that he can no longer operate. Alexa life has also changed as she no longer wants to go to hotspots and is catastrophically afraid of airplanes. She also admits that she cancelled the wedding with Mark because she realized that they are different and not on their way. Ben is outraged that the woman didn't say this sooner. He wouldn't be ignoring her calls if he knew about it. Having discussed everything, the couple comes to the conclusion that their time has been lost and love has remained somewhere in the mountains. After leaving the restaurant, Ben and Alex say goodbye and leave in different directions. A minute later, with tears in her eyes, they realize that they can no longer live without each other and are reunited with a strong embrace. Here movie ends. Thank you for watching and see you tomorrow at the same time.